Hey there, Wandering Watchers. Welcome to this unboxing and flip through of 2 Halloween themed decks that I backed on Kickstarter and received just in time for the holidays. 78 Tarot Halloween and Creatures of the Night Oracle. These decks were created by 78 Tarot, which is a global art collaboration, and I believe there are about 80 artists who contributed to this project in particular. I backed other Kickstarter decks by 78 Tarot, 78 Tarot Animal, Tarot of the Wild, 78 Tarot Magical, Tarot the Fantastical, and the Fool's Items Oracle. So these decks are based on Rider-Waite-Smith imagery, and so have the similar meanings. So here we have the thank yous, the stretch goal rewards for the Kickstarter. This cute little jack-o'-lantern bag. So here, this is the the magnet. It's a bookmark. Got postcards here of some of the different cards in the deck. And I'll go through each of the cards in a close-up flip through. Wow, there's a lot of postcards. And I will kind of make commentary on some of the images that are depicted. I did get the PDF guidebook for these decks, so I took a look at those, and I this time actually got the hard copy guidebooks. So I'm going to start out with the tarot deck and then get into the oracle deck. So I believe that there was an email saying that there was some type of error in the guidebooks. I don't know if it's one or both of the guidebooks, and I'm not sure if the PDF reflected those errors or not, but I believe replacements are on the way. So I'm going to put this Creatures of the Night Oracle and guidebook to the side, and we will start with this 78 Tarot. So these cards, I believe, are 400 GSM cardstock with soft touch lamination. It's supposed to kind of feel like velvet or rose petal. So here the box, you've got this kind of covering, protective covering for the box, and here you've got this magnetic clamshell box, and inside you've got this kind of black foil, reflective foil on the interior. So 78 Tarot Halloween, Tarot of the Trick or Treat. And on the inside it says, by the pricking of my thumb, something wicked this way comes, William Shakespeare. It's got some kind of designs on the inside as well. And this ribbon to pull out the cards. And here, that same kind of, it's kind of like a holographic foil on the guidebook. And this guidebook is in color. You've got a full page dedicated to each of the cards, and then the description of with the meaning, keywords, elements, astrological, planetary association, color association, and there are about I believe like 200 and 50-something pages in this book. So there are like how to use the deck, tarot spreads. You've got Bat Tarot spread, Jack-o'-lantern spread, Scary Tree spread, Ancestral spread, and this book is written by Trish Sullivan. I believe not in these, but at least online, the PDF version has how the artist, oh, here it is. Yeah, how artists kind of came up with certain illustrations of the cards. You can see the progression of it, and then a shout out for each of the artists in here. So let's take a look at these cards. They are 3.25 inches by 5.5 inches, and you've got this black matte edging on each of the cards. So let's start with the Fool. Oh, and then the backing of the card. Again, the foil, holographic black foil on the back of the card. So here we have the Fool, trick-or-treater going to this Victorian mansion type house. We have the Magician, High Priestess, the Empress, and it also has the name of the artist at the bottom. This one is by Selena French. I have a few of her decks. We have here the Emperor, this Vampire, the Hierophant, the Lovers with these kind of trees, the Chariot, which is like, this is like a ghost train, Strength, Hermit, you have this gargoyle, Wheel of Fortune with this creepy looking clown. You have the Justice card here, and it's like a poison apple and some like regular sweets to kind of show that they're both kind of equally bad. And then you have this kind of dark hand coming in, some kind of menacing magic, and then you've got the Justice kind of protecting things here. You have the Hanged One, Death, Temperance, got the Devil here, and with its kind of imps and bags of candy being offered to this child here, this child having to make the decision of whether to take something that's so easily being offered. The Tower, the Star, Moon. You have this, like, I'm not sure if it's a siren, like this lagoon creature, and you've got these like white fish and this black fish kind of about to fight, and the idea is kind of like you've got this kind of glimpse of what's under the surface, and what you can see above the surface is kind of frightening, but not as frightening as what's going on beneath the surface. You have the Sun and Judgment. The World card with these kids celebrating their candy scores and sharing that with each other. Here you have the Spirit of Autumn. This is like a bonus wild card that they put in there, and this is supposed to kind of indicate like, you know, things coming to fruition or harvesting, things coming to like a culmination, like preparing for like what you're about to reap, what comes next. You have here the spirit of midnight, and this is kind of a sense of like mysteries and feminine energy, and kind of like just embracing the unknown and liminal space. Here we have the Pentacles with the Ace of Pentacles, and there's this kind of creepy hand offering this pentacle. You have the Two of Pentacles juggling jack-o'-lanterns. You have Three of Pentacles with these spiders kind of working together to create a web. You have the Four of Pentacles with this bird protecting the Four Pentacles in this nest. You have the Five of Pentacles with this like ghostly creature kind of wandering. The Six of Pentacles with this kind of overzealous individual throwing candies, like huge candies, at these kids. And I believe the card kind of made mention of kind of being in a position to give and not necessarily being aware or caring if that's something that the receivers actually need or want to receive. Here we have the Seven of Pentacles, the Eight of Pentacles with this dad doing all the jack-o'-lanterns and this child wanting to kind of show off what they've learned after watching their dad. You've got the Nine of Pentacles, the Ten of Pentacles with this vampire family. You have the Page of Pentacles here. Knight of Pentacles with a headless horseman. The Queen of Pentacles with this big pentacle cake, offering some cake to this like rat up there. And the King of Pentacles here. So here we're getting into the swords with the Ace of Swords, the Two of Swords, the Three of Swords with this kind of, I guess, more anatomically correct heart being pierced by three, looks like steak knives. You have the Four of Swords, the Five of Swords here with this scientist, and there's a wall that's busted in through, and it looks like whatever scientist has been experimenting with has succeeded and escaped, and kind of calls into the question if it's worth the victory or so-called victory of succeeding in creating this monster. We have the Six of Swords. You have this imp with the Seven of Swords, kind of looking like a street merchant, kind of showing you the merchandise, seeing if it's something that you'd want to purchase or if you should move away slowly. You have the Eight of Swords here, the Nine of Swords hanging above this child's bed, and the Ten of Swords with this werewolf who has spent part of the evening pulling out these daggers that were kind of stuck in it. Here we have the Page of Swords, this little pirate child, the Knight of Swords, the skeleton warrior, the Queen of Swords, and the King of Swords. So now we're in the wands with the Ace of Wands and this torch. You've got the Two of Wands and this maze here with these skeleton heads, kind of kind of at the portal entrance. You've got the Three of Wands and this black cat, and you've got 3 paths you can choose from. The Four of Wands, where you've got all these different types of animals dressed up for Halloween, coming together and celebrating. You've got the Five of Wands with these rats kind of fighting over who gets the best leftover candy. You have the Six of Wands here. You got the Seven of Wands with this hunchback that everyone is trying to attack. You have Eight of Wands, and these are supposed to be witches of different species that are kind of all having fun flying together. The Nine of Wands with this scarecrow, and this 10 of Wands here. We have this Page of Wands, having fun, making magic. The Knight of Wands. This Pumpkin Queen of Wands. And this Pumpkin King of Wands. Now we are getting into the cups with the Ace of Cups, Two of Cups, and this is supposed to be kind of a party or a gathering between humans and vampires coming together. I'm not exactly sure who's the human, who's the vampire. Or maybe they're both humans or both vampires. Here we have the Three of Cups with different types of monsters coming together and celebrating, partying, socializing. We have the Four of Cups, Five of Cups, Six of Cups. This is super cute. I really like these kind of ghost creatures playing, and there's like buckets filled of things out in the forest, and they're kind of taking that as their Halloween treats. Here we have the Seven of Cups, the Eight of Cups with this mummy here, and these cups are supposed to kind of represent like the material world and things from the past that the mummy is dropping as it kind of journeys on its path. We have the Nine of Cups here, the 10 of Cups with the skeleton family, the Page of Cups, this mermaid who's kind of imagining the shark, the Knight of Cups, the Queen of Cups, and the King of Cups. And I think it's interesting that the Queen and King of Cups are kind of android-ish, as opposed to something that is, I guess, naturally living that we know of. So here, I'm going to go ahead and shuffle these cards so you can see how it shuffles. With the side shuffle, it's pretty easy. And yeah, it does have that kind of rose petal finish, but these cards aren't really sticking together like other decks that have rose petal finish that I've had. Now it's a little bit harder for me to shuffle this way because my hands aren't that big or my fingers aren't that long. But I'm going to go ahead and set these aside and do a deck interview at the end. So now, the Creatures of the Night Oracle set, and the cards are pretty much the same setup as the tarot deck. 400 GSM cardstock, 3.25 inches by 5.5 inches, and it should have black holographic foil on the cards, the box, and the black matte edging. So here's the Creatures of the Night magnetic box. And it looks like more, is it black or is it dark blue holographic foil? So here on the inside, it says, everyone is a moon and has a dark side which he never shows to anybody. Mark Twain. Okay, so here we have this black ribbon, the card, to get the cards out, and the guidebook, which also should be full color and have pictures of each of the oracle cards with the description and keywords. So once I get this plastic off, I can take a look at the guidebook. So this is also by Trish Sullivan with tarot spreads here. This cat spread is kind of very loosely based on the shape of a cat. So how I feel about this, how I can adapt my thought patterns, how I can maintain a balance, that's the cat spread. And this ghost spread here, what I need to know, what I need to see, what I need to leave, what I need to take. And what else we have, and that's pretty much it. So each of the cards, again with keywords, and also at the bottom a question to kind of ask yourself or reflect on. And I believe there was a card that was, oh, this is one of the incorrect aspects of it that I noticed in the PDF guidebook. It says puppet, but you've got this picture of a knight here. So I think they're missing the puppet one. And there is, I believe, the knight is somewhere else in the book. Unless that was wrong. Let me see. Oh yeah, the spectral knight. So that's one of the errors that they're probably going to fix. So here you can see this at the back of this guidebook. It has more about how the different illustrations kind of were formed and came about. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I think they've done this for their other decks. And I decided to get the hardback on this one. So I'm going to put this to the side here. And we will go through this, the flip through. So you can see here is the back and kind of like the holographic foil on the cards and the black matte edging. And again, that soft touch lamination. So here, put this down. We have Alien. And this is kind of a card of just be yourself, be comfortable in your own skin. We have the Automaton, which is kind of I get the feeling that it is kind of like elements of swords and pentacles, where it's like practicality and just kind of doing what you need to do. You've got here the bat, which kind of is about having to use your senses other than your sight to see what's going on around you. You have this bewitched cauldron, and I think it has to do with like different abilities that you have and putting those all together. You have this adorable black cat here, what has to do with kind of just embracing the mysteries. You have this blob here, which is going through this mansion and sucking up everything, even this cat, this jack-o'-lantern. And it's basically a card to indicate that, you know, along the way, you kind of pick up things as you go, and it's up to you to decide what defines who you are. You have this carnivorous plant here has eaten a person. And this is a card of kind of doing what you need to do to survive, protect yourself. You have this charmed tea, another card by Selena French, which I think is just adorable. All these sweet things, these desserts, kind of to remind you to enjoy the like sweeter things in life. You have this clown that's on the stage with this wilting rose and a clown in the back over here, which is kind of talks about the masks that we wear to hide emotions, feelings. We have the cursed carousel, which is about breaking patterns or just recognizing patterns. The death's head moth, which is about fears and how those can alter your perception of reality. You've got this demon here who has decided to wear the mask of a blonde hair, blue-eyed person. And this is a card of like ego and kind of having you recognize like, you know, what is it that you do, who you're trying to impress or fool. You have the Eldritch Horror, which has to do with, I believe, like your emotions. This card, the meaning for this card and the illustration was something that I don't really kind of grasp intuitively, so it's not resonating with me right now. You've got the Enchanted Grimoire, which is about like learning and knowledge, enlightenment. You have the Enchanted Lamp that kind of indicates like you can use your own internal light to like light your path. You have this eyeball that has to do with clarity. You have this Fae card here that has to do with truth. There's a white eye and a red eye, and both can kind of see through what's false and needing to kind of really recognize, at least with this card, when this shows up, there's no like gray area. It's just like wrong or right, black or white. Here we have this gargoyle, and I believe this has to do with perhaps like protecting other people. That one I have to double check as well. We have this ghost card, and I don't know if that really resonated with me. I love ghosts, so the fact that I can't remember exactly what this is, it seemed, I think it was a little bit of a stretch for me. This ghoul card, though, I thought was really neat in terms of like the features of this ghoul. It's got these muscles and teeth and like a lack of a nose and long fingers. And it kind of indicates that this ghoul adapts to its environment to survive. And so it's this card about like, how do you adapt? What is it that you like? How do you adapt to your life, your experiences? You have this goblin, which to me is like the Seven of Swords, where this person is, or this goblin is trying to tempt someone along the way. And it kind of is a card warning whether or not, you know, if you are trying to take shortcuts or you're trying to get somewhere too fast, just to be sure that you recognize the potential dangers or tricks along the way. Here you have this hag card, And you've got this prisoner down here, and this is supposed to be like a transformation of an old hag. And once they eat, I'm assuming aspects of another prisoner, then they kind of get, energized and turn into a younger hag. And this card kind of indicates like that there are, to recognize that people are all going through something in their life, and whether or not you want to kind of take advantage of that or try to empathize. That's kind of your call, but I think it's more kind of recognizing that maybe taking an understanding approach to things might make a situation better or end a cycle of something that's bad. Here we have the haunted clock, and it kind of talks about time, where people might keep putting off something till the next day or tomorrow, but a start of a new day doesn't erase the fact that you're kind of taking time for granted. You have this haunted house card here, and honestly, it's kind of, I forget what this card is about. So I guess it didn't really clearly resonate with me. Maybe it has to do with fears and facing your fears. You have this imp card here with all these sweet treats here. And I forget, I think this might be a card of having fun and enjoying yourself, or it could be about temptations. I have to take a look at this again. You have the invisible one with wearing these clothes, and it's supposed to be like water. So again, I feel like I need to take a look again at what the meanings were, because it's just not necessarily intuitive. I think this has to do with how you kind of present yourself and the clothes that you put on to protect yourself. Here we have the mad scientists, kind of, think outside of the box, go with that zany idea. You have the monstrous hand, which indicates a sense of strength. And I'm assuming that's because this hand has, it's just a hand. It's kind of severed from whatever it used to be attached to, but has this great jewelry and adornment and kind of ready to take action. So even though a severed hand might not seem like it indicates strength, it's supposed to kind of be reflective of that. You have this moon spirit, which kind of, I believe has to do with feeling of being watched or overseeing things. And again, this wasn't like the typical description of moon. I do think it does have to do with emotions or illusions, but honestly, I can't remember right now. And I just looked at these twice the other day. So here with this mummy card, this has to do with kind of recognizing what physical surroundings or rituals that you need to kind of feel at home or kind of celebrate who you are. Here with this nightmare card, it's supposed to be about fears and anxieties. It's somehow different than the Death's Head Moth, where that had to do with making sure that your fears and anxieties don't kind of alter your sense of reality. This one, it might be just to make sure that they don't overtake you, but they are very similar to me. You have this ominous tree card, and I believe this has to do with kind of being brave and kind of facing things that are scary. You have the Onryo card, which is this Japanese based idea of a spirit or demon, and basically it's to make sure you're not like holding in your like rage. That's my cat in the background crying because he's in a cage because he broke his leg. You can see him here. I'm watching him next to me. He's not supposed to he has his cone on because he's got his stitches in, and he's going to get it out in a few days, but he hates wearing it. So yeah, there's this card where basically kind of indicates if you kind of hold in anger and rage, then it kind of just festers and turns into something not amazing. You have this owl card, which I believe has to do with like wisdom and knowledge, as do most owl cards. Here, finally, the puppet card. So I think this has to do, you can see this puppet is cutting the strings off, and this has to do with kind of recognizing whether or not there's someone who is pulling your strings or has control over you. Here you have this rat with all these candies, and it's kind of like card of abundance and living the good life. Other people's junk is this rat's treasure. You have this raven card, which indicates communication and people in your tribe. This shadow card here kind of indicates like shadow side of self, looking at aspects. It's kind of like the devil card in tarot. Here, this skeleton is in this yoga card, and it's a card of peace and like acceptance. This snake card here is pretty similar to the death card in tarot, transitions, transformations, and it's not necessarily pretty or easy or quick. Here you have this sorcerer, and it's similar to concept of like the magician. You have the spectral knight, and I believe this is about kind of, I think this is a card of like protection, that you kind of have to like protect yourself, I believe. This one I have to double check as well. Here with this spider card, it's got this web in this jar that it's put together, and this insect's coming in here. And this is a card of like doing what you need to do to kind of survive. It's not always pretty, or it's not always something you want to put on social media, but it's, you know, what you need to do it to get by. With this Stitch doll, it is a card of like accepting your flaws, accepting the good parts of you, the not so good parts of you, the experiences that you've been through. Because if you don't accept it, if you kind of, you can let it kind of take on its own power. And that's why the image in this mirror of this doll doesn't really reflect what is sewn on the face of this other doll. It's more like, it's like more of a monstrosity here because of, you know, this perceived idea that the, what is it called? Imperfections are greater than what they are in reality. It's like it gives it that power if you don't accept the imperfections. Here, this swarm of light, there's supposed to be like bugs in this old jack-o'-lantern, and this kind of indicates like inner light or coming together with others for inner light. Not too sure about that one. This talking skull, there's this library here, and it's supposed to indicate like wisdom and knowledge. With this Reaper here, I believe this has to do with like loss. It's also similar to the death card in tarot. Here with this toad, you've got these like imaginary rabbits and fish around the toad, and I think this has to do with like imagination, creativity. This vampire card has to do with like embracing your sensuality, sexuality, and loving every part of yourself. With this werewolf card, it's about recognizing the duality within yourself, more tame versus animalistic, good and bad. Will-o'-the-wisp has to do with protection. I've got this symbol here, protection. And then you have here the witch maiden, the witch matron, and the witch crone. So here the maiden has to do with like innocence and learning. Then the matron has to do with like more kind of mastering your skills. Again, another card that's kind of like the magician. And this witch crone has to do with like being an expert in what you do and whether to share that with others or teach others. So kind of like a little bit of the high priestess and hermit energies. And then here you have this zombie card, and this has to do with like you've got these other zombies in the background and basically connecting with people, like connecting with your tribe and getting support from others. So here, I'll go ahead and shuffle these cards. And they're the same as the other deck in terms of like the size. Because there's less cards, it's easier to shuffle to get everything together. And they're pretty much made so that if you wanted to, you could shuffle them together and do use these decks as one to do like a reading if you'd like. So I'm going to go ahead and shuffle each of these up and kind of do a deck interview of these. So I went ahead and shuffled both of these decks. I'll go ahead and do just a couple more runs through and shuffling, and then I'll just pull some cards. I'll do a 3-card reading for each of these decks just to find out the current energy, what it wants to teach, and kind of like what it wants to be consulted on. So current energy, we have the King of Swords. This is for the tarot deck. What it wants to teach, 4 of Wands. And what it wants to be consulted on, High Priestess. And in terms of the Oracle cards, I'll do the same 3 questions. Okay, well, I guess it wants me to stop here. All right, so energy, we have Nightmare. What it wants to teach, Clown. What it wants to be consulted on, Witch Matron. Okay, so here in terms of the tarot card, I'm going to go through the guidebook so you can get a sense of how it reads. But for me, in terms of it's like current energy with the King of Swords being very like decisive, analytical, and taking action, I would say, to kind of show superiority, but also to kind of maintain peace. In terms of what it wants to teach, with a 4 of Wands, celebration, kind of getting together with people that may be different than you and kind of come together and celebrate those differences. And what it wants to be consulted on with the High Priestess, possibly how to kind of trust your intuition, or how to even hone in on your, I would say, your abilities, psychic abilities, and being able to kind of work with the magic inside you. Kind of the way I see that high priestess is like really connecting with how you're feeling and connecting with the environment, so that you really this sense of like internal magic kind of just flows intuitively. So for the Oracle deck, with this nightmare being its current energy, this is kind of, I actually looked it up. This is about making sure that your anxieties and fears are kind of reined in, so that they just don't overtake your life, your ability to like function. So here, if that's its current energy, is almost like reining in like negativity. In terms of what it wants to teach with this clown, I think it wants to teach people to really recognize the emotions that they might be masking for others, and a sense of like dealing with things that can be painful, but also are experiences that you can learn from. In terms of what it wants to be consulted on with this witch matron, I think it's similar to the tarot deck with this high priestess, just having command over your abilities and really recognizing, having confidence in yourself and recognizing how you can kind of, you have the power to kind of create what you want and to like thrive. So I'm going to go ahead and let's take the 78 Tarot Halloween Guidebook and read about the King of Swords, which is the current energy for this deck. We have here keywords: intellect, authority, experience. The sky, the land, all is impermeable. In an impermeable mist that obscures the world from view, preventing progress, encroaching upon all reason and intent. But suddenly, through the mist, a throng of flying bats appears, followed just as quickly by the King of Swords. Weapon ready, power and absolute authority radiating from every inch of this impressive immortal. Blood dripping down his chin, the vampire interrupted, ready to drop everything to overcome any impediment to achieving his goals. If you've drawn the King of Swords, you're reminded that this is a time for careful thought and consideration rather than emotion. Passion and intuition will confuse the issue and prevent you from moving forward. Instead, cut to the heart of the matter, choosing to use cold analytical thought and facts alone as the base of your decision, permitting no room for doubt or uncertainty to worm their way into your mind. This needs to be a choice you are confident to stand by later. So perhaps it's saying that the strength of this deck, or the current energy, I would say, of this deck is kind of, it's just the facts, just logic, reason, no emotions involved, which seems like, the way tarot should be. It's like, hey, here's what I have to show you, you deal with it. And in terms of the Four of Wands being what it wants to teach. Four of Wands. Keywords: joy, celebration, leisure. The moon is full and bright, the stars are out, and there are no clouds in the sky as bats flit and fly. This is Halloween, a night for celebration and revelry, and the creatures of the enchanted forest intend to take advantage of every moment. A luxurious canopy stands in a clearing in an impromptu bandstand lit with twinkling lanterns and candles. A young mouse nibbles on candy while the band plays a ruckus jig, and the animals enjoy the party, all dancing, cheering, and celebrating life itself. If you've drawn the Four of Wands, you're invited to live a little and remember that responsibilities, chores, and worries will all still be there tomorrow. So while work gives you a rare few moments peace, seize this opportunity to cut loose and celebrate your achievements with friends and loved ones while you can. Spend some time appreciating people around you, expressing gratitude for love and support they provide for you wherever you need it. So in terms of what it wants to teach, having fun, cutting loose, and celebrating with people you love. In terms of the High Priestess being what it wants to be consulted about, we have here keywords: intuition, mystery, wisdom. At the entrance to the enchanted forest, the High Priestess is beginning her Samhain, or Samhain is the way I've
Heard it? Ritual for Halloween night, 2 trees framing her and acting as a gateway. The sky is darkening and mists are coming in from the fields as the winds rise. She holds a book of shadows within her hands but does not need to look at the pages. The ritual's so well known that all the information she needs is held within her heart and soul. The keeper of magic, the guardian of knowledge and power, she is welcoming, but her gaze assessing as she determines whether you are worthy of her gifts. If you've drawn the high priestess, you are being invited to listen to your intuition, that steady, reliable whispering voice within you that you ignore more often than you'd like to admit. This is an opportunity to open up a new world of wisdom and knowledge for yourself, to be initiated into a realm of information and power that already exists inside you. Your inner voice speaks truth from deep within your subconscious and your soul, and it will not steer you wrong. It will never have an agenda, never have a secret motivation, never lead you in a direction that may harm or hurt you. Learn to listen, to rely upon it more. So it seems like it wants to be consulted about how to trust your inner voice and be in touch with that. So in terms of the oracle card, let's look at Nightmare for the kind of current energy, current essence, strength. We have keywords: nightmare, worries, fears. On Halloween night, the clouds and mists come in, and across the world all is darkness. The gloom is overwhelming when suddenly pinprick lights appear out of the dimness. But before fear and doubt can turn to hope and relief, the source of the glow is determined, and terror sets in. For the gleam is the horrifying, fiery glare of a nightmare charging toward their victim, nostrils flaring as though also made of flame, their mane formed by tendrils of smoke, which add to the murk. If you have drawn the nightmare, you are cautioned to take control of your worries before they ride away from you. Stress is a natural, ingrained reaction, your body's instincts working to protect you, but it is all too easy for apprehension and tension to warp your waking fears into nightmares, for nightmares an incessant terror to erode your peace of mind even further, eventually affecting your physical health. So you need to stop the cycle, to master your worries, and from there to take back control of your mind and your body. Question to ask yourself: how can I take control of my fear? So perhaps it's current energy is that, taking control of fears and mastering worries. In terms of what it wants to teach with this clown, let's see here. Clown keywords: emotion, truth, exploration. Their theater performance is complete, and the mime stands to receive their applause, keeping a rose held up high. They hold their heart in their hands, sincerely relishing in all of the applause, a smile on their face. But the rose wilts, petals beginning to fall, and their smile is stilted, not disingenuous, not fake, but forced, untrue. Behind the curtain, the clown's shadow lingers, looking on in despair and betraying their true sadness. If you have drawn the clown, you are called upon to explore your emotions. Sentiment makes society uncomfortable, and regardless of what we are experiencing, how we feel, we are asked to carry on, to push through. And we bow to this pressure. We mask our truth in order to make others feel better. We make ourselves seem calmer, more temperate, colder. So ask yourself what you may be masking and why, and then give yourself permission to feel. All emotions are necessary, all equally important, so be true to yourself. Question or ask yourself, what emotion am I masking? So that's pretty deep lessons it wants to teach. And in terms of the witch matron being what it would like to be consulted about. Keywords: power, action, drive. A beautiful matronly witch works within the kitchen of the witch's hut, where she uses her magic to create a sumptuous meal. She is surrounded by a bounty of fresh fruits and vegetables which flourish in her garden, and she is eager to both enjoy the fruits of her labors and share them with others. A few books lie around her just in case, but she does not need them. Her control over her power is so great that she uses it for mundane and magic purposes alike. All about her room is a hive of activity, the full moon lighting her path. If you have drawn the witch matron, you are being prompted to take realistic, decisive action. You can achieve a great deal with the power and drive within you. You are a life giver, full of creativity, carrying the future within you. Just don't get lost in dreaming and desire. Take all your hopes, all your planning you've been doing, and bring them to life. Be practical, be audacious, and take charge. Not letting any doubts or fears stand in your way. You can do this and more. All you need is to start. Ask yourself, how can my ambition fuel my actions? So here, in terms of what this Oracle deck wants to be consulted about, how to kind of, brings your plans to fruition, and really sense of motivation, getting from motivation to completion and end result. So this is what I have for you in terms of the 78 Tarot Halloween, Tarot of Trick or Treat, and then the Creatures of the Night Oracle. So if you have any experiences with these cards or questions, I'd love to hear about it. We'll see you next time. Take care.